There was a bite mark in a side of beef hanging in the shop's cold room when I came in that morning. It wasn't small. It wasn't a rat. Something had opened a hole in the raw meat about as wide as a human jaw, and the edges of it were clean. For 3 weeks, I tried to figure out who was getting in that room. When I found out, I couldn't tell anyone in town. Before I tell you what happened, I should probably explain the rules. We've split this video into 4 difficulty levels: easy, hard, nightmare, and impossible. The vast majority of viewers are too scared to make it past easy. We want to know how far you can go. So when it's over, drop a comment and tell us which level you reached. And just so you know, a jump scare could hit at any level. Now, let's begin. The cold room. My name is Royce Tallman. I'm 34, and for 6 years I've worked at a butcher's shop in Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania. The place is called Mercer & Sons. Now, there's no Mercer anymore, and no son either. The owner is a man named Dale Whitmore, who put down the knife years ago when his hand started shaking. So the cutting is mine. I open at 5 in the morning, the case is full by 6:30, and by noon, half the town has come through for something. I like the work. People give me a look when I say that, but knowing where a carcass comes apart is a craft. The shop dates back to the 1920s. The thing that matters is the cold room in the back. A thick wooden door with steel plating bolted on later, a rail fixed into the ceiling, and hooks hanging off that rail. When you walk in, every animal on those hooks swings just a little. There's a handle on the inside of the door. They added that in the 60s because before that somebody got shut in there once. Dale told me that on my first day, laughing. I went in and out of that room 10 times a day for 6 years, and I never once was afraid of it. I'm telling you that so you understand what normal was before any of this started. The first time I saw it was the 2nd week of October. I'd cut and hung a side of beef on Friday, and I was taking it down Monday morning. 5th hook on the rail. I turned on the light, walked over to it, and stopped. There was a hollow in the outer face of it, right in the middle of the muscle, about the size of my palm. It hadn't been cut. A knife mark is flat and clean and it goes one direction. This was nothing like that. The meat had been torn out. Fibers were pulled loose along the edges, hanging in strands. My first thought was rats, obviously. Old building, back alley, fall coming on. But rats leave a different mark. Small, lined up, ragged little notches. They graze the surface. They don't go deep. This was one motion. In once, back once. I told Dale. He waved a hand at me. "Rats," he said. "Always this time of year. Get some traps." So I said traps. 6 snap traps, all of them baited with peanut butter, placed along the walls of the cold room and under the rail. I also wrote that day's inventory into the notes app on my phone, because I needed to know how much we were losing. Next morning, every trap was still set. Not one of them had gone off. The peanut butter hadn't been touched. But there was a second hollow in that same side of beef, deeper this time. It went down to the bone. On the 4th day, one of the traps was gone. I remember exactly where I put it, under the rail in line with the door, next to the old channel in the concrete. It wasn't there. The other 5 were right where I'd left them, unsprung, untouched. That one trap disappeared. I searched the whole room, behind the carcasses, the shelves, the drain channel. Behind the door, nothing. Within a week, 4 of the 6 traps went the same way. The other 2 never went off, and the meat was still being eaten. You need to understand something. A rat cannot pull a handful of meat off a rib section. A dog can't get into a cold room. The door's too heavy. A person leaves signs, boot prints, the door, the lock. I locked that door myself every night, and I opened it myself every morning. The alarm panel read, "No interruption," every single day. The second time I brought it up, Dale answered without looking at me. "You keeping track of the meat?" he said. "Because if the loss gets bad, I'm not eating it." That's when I understood I was going to have to solve this on my own. At the end of October, I bought a camera, a cheap trail cam, motion-activated, battery-powered. The cold drained the batteries fast, but it would hold up for one night. I taped it to the far wall of the cold room, angled to cover the rail and the door. I didn't sleep that night. I was at the shop by 4:30 in the morning. I took the camera down and put the card in my phone. There were 47 clips, 47, all of them in the same window between 2 and 3 in the morning, and all of them empty. Just the hanging meat, the rail, the door. The motion sensor had caught something it had recorded, but there was nothing in the frame. Until the 41st. In the 41st clip, the camera can see the room light. The room light is on. The switch for that light is outside, in the hallway, inside the shop. It cannot be turned on from in there. And in that light, in front of the hog carcass hanging on the third hook, there's a shadow as wide as the carcass itself. The camera doesn't see the thing, it only sees a shadow stretched out across the concrete. The head of the shadow is turned toward the open belly of the carcass, and it's moving forward, back, slow, patient, the way a person moves when they've sat down to a meal. The clip runs 22 seconds. At the 20-second mark, the shadow lifts its head and turns toward the camera. I was watching all of this out front, standing at the display case, hunched over my phone screen. The cold room door was behind me, and it was shut. I know it was shut. The clip ended. The screen went dark. The shop was quiet. And behind me, from inside that steel-plated door, I heard a honing steel, a blade dragging across it. Once, twice. I turned around. The door was standing wide open, and there in the doorway, right at the edge of the light, was a man with nothing above his jaw, just a chin and a throat. His apron was soaked from his chest to his knees, and he was holding my knife. It lasted a second, maybe less. Then the door swung shut under its own weight, and there was nobody there. I didn't open the shop that morning. I sat in front of the display case for 2 hours. Then I went to the library. Hollidaysburg is a small place, and the town paper is down in the library basement on microfilm. Everything from 1890 on. I didn't know what I was looking for. I just looked up the name of the building. Mercer & Son opened in 1924. Founded by Alton Mercer, his son, Walter Mercer, took over the business in 1931. In the winter of 1936, the town went 4 months with a meat shortage. The Depression, drought, cattle disease. The paper called it the gnawed winter. In March 1937, Walter Mercer was found dead in the shop's cold room. The door had no inside handle yet. That got added later. The coroner listed the cause of death as hypothermia and starvation. The paper printed one more thing, a single sentence down at the bottom of the page. Almost embarrassed to be there. Some of the meat hanging in the room where the body was found had been consumed raw. There was a photograph, too, small, gray, out of focus. Walter Mercer standing in front of the shop in his apron. His face isn't clear, but the way he stands is. The shoulders, the neck, the apron running from his chest down to his knees. I recognized the shadow. I told Dale all of it. I showed him the clip. I showed him the photo of the newspaper page. Dale listened without saying a word, all the way through. Then he asked me one thing. How much meat did you lose? I told him about 25 pounds in 3 weeks. Dale nodded and said, when my father ran this place, it was 5 pounds a week. I left the shop. I stayed in town. I took another job. I'm still here. Mercer & Son is still open. Dale found somebody. The case is still full. But there's a question I got stuck with, and I can't put it down. Walter Mercer starved to death in 1937. He's been in that room for 90 years, and he's been eating for 90 years. 5 pounds a week in Dale's father's time. 9 pounds a week in mine. He can't get full. He never got full. And he's eating more and more. What I don't know is this. Why is he eating more? When something's appetite grows, it only means one thing, and it's that the thing itself is growing.